All right. Welcome back to Tips Matter. We appreciate you listening to the show. Obviously, you're catching this on tipsmatter.com. Look, I really wanted to break down a little Circa, but let's get to the most important thing out there. You all should be loving this, right? The face for radio is back. You don't have to look at me, so you should be able to listen to the whole show. And if you're a Seinfeld fan, you know the episode with Kramer and smoking the cigarettes and I'm hideous, look away. So anyway, you will get a lot of Seinfeld references from me. It is easily my favorite show, but excuse me. Without further ado, let's get to it. A little Circa Survivor and Millions talk for week 2, where Giorgio and I are leaning for the week. Last week we survived with the Broncos in week 1. With that said, on X and Instagram, you can follow the show, Just Tips Matter. But if you want to follow Giorgio, he is on X, and that's Giorgio Moondog. He and I are doing both contests together. If you don't know what the Circa contests are, it's based out of Las Vegas. If you do go to Vegas and want to stay in old downtown, there is nothing better than Circa. It is a 3-story sports book. Restaurants are amazing. And then if you want to stay in the heart of the city, there's nothing better than Caesars. That's where I stay every time I go. I absolutely love Caesars. And to be honest, I gamble at Caesars a lot, as well as if I go anywhere else to gamble, it's Circa. So those are my 2 spots. There's nothing better than those 2 hotels in Las Vegas. So, all right, let's get to it. Once again, my name's Curtis. You can email the show, stelzy@tipsmatter.com. Look, I'm doing this show for the people get tipped or stiffed by entitled guests. So really, this show is for servers, bartenders, bellmen, doormen, chauffeurs, all the people that work hard and get those guests that think their presence alone pays the bills. So it's an embarrassment how and what some people do to us, because I'm one of you. I work at a 5-star luxury hotel, and it really is embarrassing what the guests do to hardworking people like ourselves. So, all right, without that, let's get to it. Week 1, Survivor. We survived. We had the Denver Broncos. It shouldn't have been that hard at all. Really embarrassing how Bo Nix and the Broncos played. To be honest, we're thankful that Callahan's the coach of the Titans, because the Titans could have easily won that game, as bad as Bo Nix was. I think the Broncos really need to get R.J. Harvey in the game a little more than Dobbins. I understand Dobbins is getting you 3-4 yards, but look, R.J. Harvey in StatCast, he ran over 20 miles an hour. He was one of only 3 running backs that hit that speed this week, and you saw it in that long run against the Titans. You get him the ball in space, you better look out. I don't know why they're not trying to do a little swing pass to him here and there. He needs to be on the field. What's even crazier is Derrick Henry was one of the other 3 running backs that broke the 20-mile-an-hour speed rate, and that guy's over 30. That guy's he's a machine. So, but of course, it's Lamar in a big game, and they figure out a way to lose. So congrats to the Ravens. So let's get to it. Let's talk about Survivor and the spreads. You have Commanders at Packers +3. I don't think you can play that game as a Survivor unless you have maybe 10 entries. And even if you do, I don't know how you can play that game. And I will go in depth a little more once I start to get in the millions. Patriots at Dolphins. I could see using the Patriots. I think we all saw the effort by the Dolphins. I would have no problem if somebody wanted to use the Patriots. I think the Dolphins have quit on that head coach. And I got to be honest with you. I think there's a chance, let's say the Patriots win like 34-7 or something crazy like that. I think there's a chance McDaniels is fired Monday, which is just crazy to think. And he obviously is the favorite to get fired, his first coach fired in the NFL. Giants +5.5 to the Cowboys. I'm sure some people are going to use the Cowboys. How can't you, with Russell Wilson still being the quarterback? But if Dart comes in the second half, who knows? Niners at Saints. How could you play this game at all? I understand everybody's picking on the Saints, but if Brock Purdy is not the quarterback, it's Mac Jones. Mac Jones cost me a crap load of money 3 years ago. The only loss I had was when the Patriots got the ball with under 2 minutes left on their own 25. They went the length of the field on the Bills and beat the Bills like a weekend or two before Thanksgiving. The Circa contest was down to about 850 people, and that was my loss. That's how I lost. Mac Jones, length of the field. So, if the Niners play Mac Jones, do I hope the Saints win? I hope Mac Jones he's so bad, he has to retire on the spot or get cut. So I'm rooting for the Saints there. Plus, if people have the guts to use the Niners there, good for you. I'm rooting for you, but I'm rooting for the Saints, and I hope you're out. Jags +3 at the Bengals. Couldn't do it if I had to do it. I got to be honest. I think the Jags go to Cincy and win. I understand that is not a mainstream take, that's for sure. But I'll get into depth on that. But I really like the Jags +3 this week. Seahawks +3 at the Steelers. I can see somebody using the Steelers. Darnold, Seattle traveling 3 time zones. It's a 10 a.m. body clock kickoff. I can see the Steelers to win that game. Rams at Titans. I think there's going to be some people that use the Rams. Titans are down to 5.5 as a +5.5 underdog. But the Rams and Stafford, I can see that being a play. Browns at Ravens. This will hands down be the most played game in Survivor this week. The question is, will it be more than the Denver Broncos this week? This week in Circa Survivor, 39% were on the Broncos. Will the Ravens pass that? I think they do. They are the only double-digit favorite in the league. But I'm going to tell you right now, you need to be careful. I can't say it enough. Let's cover a little history with the Ravens. Let's go back. For 4 consecutive years, the Ravens have had a bad loss in week 1, 2, or 3. And I mean a bad loss. 2021, the Ravens lose 33-27 in overtime to the Raiders in LA. Fine, don't care. 33-27 to the Raiders. It was still Derek Carr as a quarterback. That's a bad loss. Week 2, 2022, lose at home to Miami, 42-38. They, in fact, led Tua and the Dolphins by 21. Have you heard this before, Ravens fans? Just saying, right? 2023, week 3, Ravens lose at home again to Indy, 22-19. The quarterback for Indy that year, Gardner Minshew. 2024, last year, they lose by a toe to start the year in Kansas City. That's not that big of a deal. But you go home week 2 and you lose to the Raiders 26-23 as a double-digit favorite to Minshew once again. So, to be honest with you, if you're picking the Ravens, good luck to you. Yes, do I think they win? Probably. But I'm just giving you a warning. If you are on them, oh my gosh, come on, Browns, because I can't use them. Cleveland also comes to town with Joe Flacco. I don't care what people say. It's a revenge spot. Longtime quarterback in the NFL with the Ravens. He wants to come back and beat them every time. I got to be honest with you. Some people on here don't know my history. I played pro soccer 9 years. I was lucky enough to play 2 of my 9 in St. Louis where I grew up. Anytime I played against St. Louis, I just had that extra edge. And it wasn't even a revenge spot. It was just home. And you wanted to compete and show out in front of your home and where you're from. I can't say thank you enough for getting the chance to play 2 of my 9 in St. Louis. It was amazing. But anytime you go back and play for that team, there's revenge on the mind. So, and then you add in Myles Garrett, who looks like he wants to win the Defensive Player of the Year award. I'm telling you, man, it's a scary spot. I would take the +11.5. Do the Ravens win 40-10? Probably. But there is that little inkling that, giving you a warning, the Ravens always have a bad loss in week 1, 2, or 3. The loss to Buffalo was bad because of the comeback, but it wasn't a bad loss at the start of the game and looking at it that way. But man, oh man, They have a bad loss every year earlier in the year. Bills at Jets. Bills favored by 6.5. Spread doesn't matter in Survivor, but this matters in Survivor. Bills have not won in the Meadowlands since 2021. Enough said. If you're using the Bills, good luck to you. It's a letdown spot after that win. They are easily the Super Bowl favorite. They are the favorite to be the number one seed because they do not play a tough game the rest of the year. But this is a letdown spot, that's for sure. My guess would be, but they probably steal it and win by a field goal. Bears at Lions. I think this is a great spot for the Lions, but you might need to save Detroit for one of the holidays. But they get the Bears at home. You get a pissed off Lions team. I can see people using the Lions in Survivor. Broncos at Colts. I'm on the Broncos. We already used them. We can't use them, but I'd understand if people want to use the Broncos against the Colts. Don't forget, last week, lots of pomp and circumstance in Indy with everybody back in town saying goodbye to Jim Irsay, who passed away in the offseason, the owner of the Colts. But they also played Miami. And I think that Broncos team is going to show what the inconsistent Daniel Jones is really like. And I think the Broncos give them fits and win the game. Here is my lean right now. Panthers at Cardinals. I really like the Cardinals in this spot. And if you go through the schedule, there's not too many other spots to use them. You get the Cardinals for their home opener. Coming off a so-so performance in New Orleans, it should have never been that tough. But Kyler Murray wasn't healthy, was sick the night before. So now you get Arizona at home for the home opener with Kyler 100%, with a Panthers team coming to town, traveling 3 time zones that looked absolutely pathetic against an average Jags squad, we think, even though I'm on the Jags more than most. There's just not a better spot to use Arizona. Don't forget, in Circa, and thanks for listening to tipsmatter.com. Don't forget, you have to have 20 winners in the Circa Survivor. The reason why with 18 weeks, you have to have a winner on Thanksgiving and you have to have a winner on Christmas. So, you got to find a spot. You have to find a spot to use certain teams. Look, I think we all think that Arizona is probably one of the top 20 teams in the league, and there is not a better spot. There's some hold-your-nose moments you're going to have to use during the year. This is one, but I think we're going to eventually go with the Cardinals as our pick for week 2 in Circa. Eagles at the Chiefs. How could you pick that game? It's crazy. Chiefs are looking for revenge, but they're beat up, but so are the Eagles. Eagles did not look good against Dallas. That's a stay away spot for sure. And both teams you're going to need for both Thanksgiving and Christmas to have choices available during the holidays. Falcons at Vikings. I can see people using Minnesota. The only fear I have, short week, but they are at home. That crowd should be raucous, that's for sure. Giving Penix fits, can you hear in there? Those kind of things. Buccaneers at Texans. If I'm choosing one, I'm choosing Houston. They're at home opener, looking for a bounce back. Stroud called out his team. Baker and the Bucs were lucky to win that game. Really, they shouldn't have won that game. If any defensive back for the Falcons could catch a cold, they would have won. Last game of and that's a Monday night game, by the way, Bucs at Texans. And then it's a doubleheader for Monday Night Football. Chargers at Raiders. There's no way in heck you could pick this game. Funny thing is, I would take the Raiders. I think the Raiders can win in this spot. They always give the Chargers fits. Interdivision game. There's some hope with Vegas at 1-0, a win in New England. I like the Raiders. So, all right, let's get to the millions, where we're going to pick 5 against the spread. But real quick, thanks for listening to the show. Once again, tipsmatter.com. Listen, big news for us, in all honesty. You can now subscribe to us. We are on the podcast. Anywhere you get your podcasts, you got Apple Podcasts. We are on Spotify, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. So if you like the show, you like me or you hate me and you want to bet anything against what I say, which is probably the smart play, follow us. I'd love that. I'd love to hear from you. Please email the show, stelzy@tipsmatter.com. But we're also on Instagram and X, just Tips Matter. Give us a follow. We'd love to hear from you. Anything you'd like to talk about, give me a little shout. All right, let's get back to the spreads. Here we go. Washington at Green Bay. This may be a play for us. We like Washington +3. We are hoping we can get the hook there with the +3.5. But if we make this play, we have to have all our picks in by Thursday at 1 our time. But I get a feeling we're going to do that, and we're going to have the Commanders take on the Packers, who looked brilliant in week 1. I definitely am not on the bandwagon that they're that good and that much better against Detroit. I like Washington +3, hopefully getting the hook. Patriots +1 at Dolphins. I love the Patriots this week. I think the Dolphins have quit on McDaniel. I said that before. Love New England +1. Giants +5.5 at the Cowboys. I am surprised with as bad as Russell Wilson was, the spread's going the other way. It's been bouncing between 6 and 5.5. If it got to 6.5, I think we might have played the Giants. I think the hope is, if you bet on the Giants, that defense keeps it close, and it's like a 7-6 game at half, and Russell Wilson looks so bad that the Giants do what they should have done before the game starts and play Jackson Dart in the second half. If Jackson Dart, and it's close in the first half, plays in the second half, I think the Giants win that game outright. Niners at Saints. By the way, going back real quick, we can't pick the Giants because that coaching staff at this point doesn't know how to coach correctly and pull the right string. So how could you bet the Giants? With these guys, you could think maybe Russell Wilson puts up 8 games of 6 points or less, and they still don't put Dart in. So you can't trust +5.5 with the Giants unless you know Dart's playing. Niners at Saints. Niners -4.5. We can't do it. Unless the Niners come out and say Mac Jones is the quarterback, I'll take Saints +4.5. Unless that happens, I can't play the game. I just can't. I think a lot of people are on the Niners at the 4.5. That defense is much better than Arizona, and I understand that. But the injuries continue to mount up for the Niners. I don't know how you could play that game unless you know the status of some of the players. George Kittle just went on the IR. He's out for 4. Jennings may play. You're still without Ayuk. Now, CMC's healthy, but you need more than CMC. Pearsall's healthy. You need more than that. So, I don't know. I couldn't play the game. Jags at Bengals. Giorgio and I are complete odds on this one. He is on the Bengals -3. I am on the Jags +3. And if it gets to 3.5, I really want to play it. I think the Jags go to Cincy and win. I think Cincy should be 0-2 after this week. They'll be 1-1. I think that Jags team has found a coach. They have a coach that knows how to coach a quarterback. Just ask Baker Mayfield. That guy, Cohen, made Baker into a decent quarterback. I think he's going to do the same with Trevor Lawrence. I understand they played a bad Panthers defense. Don't care. You still got results. You can only play who's in front of you. The funny thing is, the Jaguars play a worse defense this week in the Bengals. So I think the Jags light them up and win the game, 30-22, 30-24. I think the Jaguars win that game outright. Seahawks +3 at Steelers. I was on the Seahawks and I was on the Steelers, which means it's a no play. But I guess if I had to play the game, you get the Seahawks traveling 3 time zones. It's a 10 a.m. body clock kickoff. You get the Steelers -3. And I guess if San Francisco's D got to Darnold, you got to think the Steelers really get to Darnold. The problem with the Steelers, they did suffer some injuries. They've lost Joey Porter. But look, the Seahawks have one receiver, and that's JSN. I mean, if you're not going to him, you're in trouble. They ran the ball a little bit. That's the only scary thing there. The Jets ran the ball, but Darnold is not a two-way quarterback. I think I like the Steelers now that I'm talking it out. -3. TJ Watt's going to come get Darnold all day long. They'll be able to make them one-dimensional. They'll be able to either make them throw or make them run. Whatever they want to do is Pittsburgh, and they'll take Seahawks back and win that game. Rodgers looked okay. Everybody's like, oh, he threw 4 touchdowns. Look, I think he threw for like 230, 240 yards. 177 of those were yak yards. So don't tell me Rodgers is back. It was all dink and dunk and then after the catch. So, but they still got the job done. I like the Steelers -3. Rams at Titans. I think the Rams D is going to get to Cam Ward. I really do. But it's the home opener for the Titans. They kept it close with Denver. My thing is Denver won by 8. They still won by 8 looking like absolute trash. Bo Nix was horrid. Bad play calling by Sean Payton, which is rare for him. I don't think he would do that 2 weeks in a row, but McVay doesn't do that. McVay is hands down one of the top 3 coaches in the league. What they've done in LA since they won the Super Bowl to keep them afloat is amazing. Stafford's good. He's healthy. Nakua's going to play. Adams, Kyron Williams is one of the most underrated running backs in the NFL. Rams -5.5. That defense is going to be all over the Titans. Giorgio's the other way. I think the Rams are going to be missing 2 starting guards. That is a big deal. Stafford is not nearly as mobile as he used to be. I agree with this. I just think it's a play on the Rams D, able to get pressure on Cam Ward, and the Rams -5.5, which means I don't think we'll play that game. Browns +11.5 at the Ravens. You know my take. I talked about it on Survivor. I would play Browns +11.5. It's a divisional game. Browns always play the Ravens tough. I like Joe Flacco, the revenge game. Myles Garrett is a man. He just kept that game close on his own against Cincy. If I'm not mistaken, he got 3 consecutive sacks, or he got 2.5. He is the man. Absolutely kept the Browns in the game against the Bengals. To be honest, Browns should be 1-0, and Zach Taylor should not have a job because Zach Taylor is the reason why the Bengals are so bad. But I'd take Browns 11.5. Bills -6.5 at the Jets. I'll take the Jets +6.5. I hate saying it. It's hard to do. But at the Meadowlands, Bills haven't won since 2021. They're coming off an emotional win on Sunday Night Football over the Ravens, who everybody thought they were in a battle for #1 seed this year. I really like the Jets +6.5. I think the Bills win the game. I do. But it would not shock me if the Jets do upset the Bills. And Justin Fields looked like a decent quarterback. Unbelievable. But he's so inconsistent. I can see him throwing 4 picks this week against that quote-unquote defense. Is that what it's called for the Bills? They don't have a defense. But I would take the Jets +6.5. Bears +5.5 at the Lions. I will take the Lions. They are going to be they're going to be so upset with the way they played. Home opener in Detroit, in a dome. Ben Johnson's back in town against Caleb Williams and the Bears. I'm telling you right now, Hutchinson is going to go get him, and I don't know how much turf Caleb Williams is going to eat, but he's not going to need dinner afterwards because he is going to be living in the turf. Hutchinson's going to come get him, and I think the Lions win this game handily. They are beyond pissed off with the way they performed in Green Bay after week 1. Lions -5.5. Broncos -2. Even though they struggled against the Titans, I still trust Sean Payton. I think it's a letdown spot for the Colts after what happened in week 1 with everything going on. Peyton Manning back in town, new owners, the daughters of Irsay, all that. I already said the pomp and circumstance that went on in Indy. I love the Broncos -2. Now Daniel Jones faces a real defense. I think Denver's going to come get him. My favorite pick of the week, Broncos -2. Panthers +6.5 at the Cardinals. Obviously, I'm on the Cardinals on Survivor. -6.5. I think I'm on that too. I think I need somebody to prove to me that Bryce Young can play. He was horrible against the Jags. I think we all agree. We think the Cardinals defense is better than the Jags, and the Jaguars blew them out. Now the Panthers go 3 time zones to the West Coast, play Arizona. I like Arizona in their home opener. -6.5. Eagles at Chiefs. I don't know. Spreads 1. Eagles favored by 1. I don't know. I do know we're 7 months away from the Eagles absolutely laying the smackdown and calling the dogs off at halftime on the Chiefs. So, but I would love to know Mahomes' record as an underdog in his career, and it's absolutely stupid. So I am not playing this game. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Falcons at Vikings. Falcons plus 4.5 at Minnesota. Minnesota on a short week after winning on Monday Night Football in Chicago, but it's their home opener. And you're telling me how much confidence did J.J. McCarthy get from that 15 minutes in the fourth quarter? Are you kidding me? Falcons are going to play a defense this time. This time it's on the road. They played against the Buccaneers, who, I got to be honest, they called me last week to be a starting cornerback. That's how bad the Falcons are. Or I'm sorry, the Buccaneers are. Falcons should have called me too, because they don't have a defensive back that can catch the ball. If they did, they would have won the game. So I really like the Vikings minus 4.5. Good spread there. The short week does scare me a little bit, but that defense for Minnesota is legit. And I think the Falcons may have a tough time. Bijan will get his, but especially if the Falcons are without London and Mooney, really, the Falcons are in trouble. So Minnesota minus 4.5. Bucks plus 2.5 at the Texans. Texans at home opener, Monday Night Football. I'll take Houston all day long. Stroud called out his team after the Rams game, said they were lollygagging. He's the captain of the team. You got to think that is a big deal, and the Texans respond. I will tell you right now, if the Buccaneers win this game and blow out the Texans have a locker room issue. And I say that because if you're calling out your team for lollygagging, you really don't do that in the NFL unless you 100% know it's fact. You're going to have an issue with this Texans team. I had the Jags to win the division, and I'm going to love that ticket even more if the Buccaneers blow out Houston. That press conference has not gotten a lot of play. Those were his exact words. And I'm telling you right now, CJ Stroud, if he does not know that locker room and said that, this may turn into a long year for Houston. I'm not saying it will. That defense is legit. I think they give Baker issues. I'm just saying, if the Texans lose that game in a bad way, and I'm talking 27-13, something crazy like that, I'll tell you what, you're going to have some issues. You know you have issues going on because that team should respond with that defense, that's for sure. Chargers at Raiders. Chargers minus 3 in Vegas. I really like the Raiders plus 3. Really hoping I can get the hook on this game. Hoping I can get to 3.5. But I'm on the Raiders 100%. All right, that's what we think. That's what I think. That's the talk Giorgio and I have going on. I'd love to know what you think. Please email the show, stelzy@tipsmatter.com. All right. Once again, this show is for bartenders, servers, doormen, bellmen, chauffeurs, everybody that works for tips. All right. I did get an email. I got an email from a guy named Jonathan out of California. He does not want to say what property he works at, which I agree. He's in the hotel industry, hospitality. He said had a couple come in celebrating their 10th anniversary. He greeted them, gave them a tour of the property, took them up, brought their luggage, took good care of them, said, hey, you're celebrating your anniversary. What kind of wine do you drink? They said it was Pinot Grigio. He sent up a nice bottle of, he told them, I'm going to send a nice bottle of Pinot Grigio up to get your anniversary weekend started correctly. They're celebrating their 10th overlooking the ocean. He said, and the couple said, thank you very much. That was it. No tip. Look, he's a bellman. He doesn't even need to send you a bottle of wine. It is absolutely stunning they don't tip the guy. To get tipped, he didn't even need to send you a bottle of wine. Instead of tipping him $10, you should have tipped him $20 or $50 for sending a bottle of wine to kick off your anniversary to start with. So it's embarrassing that these people think just because they're alive on Earth, that is enough for you and you should be helping them. It's absolutely embarrassing that people like that treat people like us like that. So I'm sorry that happened to you, buddy. I hope things get better. That's just one of about 10 more I need to read, but I'll get them as I go through the shows. But once again, thank you for listening to Tips Matter. Please follow us, Just Tips Matter, on Instagram and X. And please follow the podcast. And there's so many now. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. Give me a follow. Once again, until next time, thank you doesn't pay the bills.